Hi guys, welcome back to the 7th video. I can't believe we're already on 7th video of this series. And I really want to talk about insight today. And if you remember from last video, we talked about the elevator of consciousness and how we're always kind of going up and down, and how we see life is based on kind of what floor we're on in this elevator. And basically, we've been playing with this hidden equation. And the hidden equation is thought plus consciousness equals reality. And if you remember anything from math, is that when you change what's on one side of the equation, the other side has to change. That equal sign kind of keeps things, keeps parity between two things. And so when we don't like what's on the reality side of the equation, so we don't like the problem we're in or the situation we're stuck with or something that's going on in our reality, it's so easy to just think, well, I'm just stuck with it. And we hear this all the time. We hear it all the time that, well, that's just how life is. That's just who I am. That's just how it goes. That's just life. Like, kind of, that's a solid, unchanging thing that we just can't do anything about. But what I would invite you to consider is, if it's true that it's an equation of thought plus consciousness equals reality, that if we want something different on the reality side of the equation, we need only look to what's on the other side of the equal sign. And so last video was talking all about the consciousness part and how that is a variable that goes up and down all the time. And when I talk about insight, I'm talking about the thought part. And what I mean is that when we literally have a new thought about something, when we literally have something new and different get created in the place of what we think, that it naturally is going to give us a different reality. And a perfect example of this is something in my life that I've seen recently, and that's I absolutely, my whole life growing up, have hated winter. Like, have hated it. And to me, it was always dreary and cold and miserable, and there's nothing good about it, and I don't understand why people like it. And it was because my whole life, my reality of winter is the worst and needs to be endured for 6 months so we can get to summer, was a result of I was having old and stale and habitual thinking about winter. And I was seeing it from relatively the same level of consciousness, because I kind of believed, well, that's, winter just sucks. There's no getting around it. So why even bother hanging on to see a higher floor? And so I always just had the reality of winter is the worst. And about 4 months ago now, today's February 24th, so in about, I'd say, beginning of November, we got our first major snowfall of the year on November 1st, and instantly I had different thinking about winter. I had thinking of, oh my gosh, it's so cool that you can have fires in winter because you're not worried about a fire ban or burning a brittle forest down. And you can ski, and skiing is actually so much fun. And you can snowshoe, and snowshoeing is great. And you don't have to worry about being too hot and sweaty when you're doing, regular activities. And just all of these kind of new ideas about how to enjoy winter came to mind. And now my reality on this side of the equation is that I think winter is actually pretty awesome, and I had a great winter, and I'm still having a great winter end of February, and it's all good. And so it seems like, well, that's just like such a petty example, but it really works that way for everything. And so even if what's on this side of the equation isn't a deep hatred for winter, if it's a label or a diagnosis or kind of an identity you've always thought of yourself as, or a problem you've always felt stuck with, or a relationship that's troubling you, or whatever it is, if that's on this side of the equation, and we see that what's on this side of the equal sign is thought and consciousness, we can know that the same way that staying on the elevator is going to give us a different view, that being open to different thinking is going to also give us a different reality on this side. And I, my whole life, have been so wedded to the thinking I had about winter. I was so wedded to, you can't do anything, it's awful, it's cold, it's rainy, it's just the worst. And I didn't even entertain any other thoughts than that. I was just like, no, that's just winter. I'm just seeing life accurately. But when I started to realize how the mind works and how reality is a result of thought and consciousness, I suddenly let myself be a little bit more open to having new thinking and a little bit more open to seeing something that I hadn't seen before. And that combined with staying on the elevator and knowing that even the times when I think, oh God, this is just the absolute worst, it's -15, my face is freezing off, that I'm just on a lower floor and I'm going to see it at a higher floor. It totally just allows things to be different. It totally allows reality to be as fluid as it's designed to be, because we are not meant to be stuck and locked into unpleasant things and hard situations and difficult relationships and struggles with just anything that we're dealing with in life. We're not meant to have that at all. We are meant to have different levels of consciousness. We're meant to have new thinking. We're meant to have insight. We're meant to have things be fresh and different. And it's only because we are so wedded to, well, how I see reality is just reality and this isn't going to change, that we kind of close the door to that and say, yeah, no, there's no room for this to be different. And so this isn't about think positive and put better thoughts in and any of that bullshit. It's not about that at all. It's just about, what if you can leave the door open a little bit to fresh thinking? What if instead of being so wedded like I was to my winter thoughts, so wedded to, I know how this is going to go, I know how this is, and I'm not willing to be open-minded about it. What if we are willing to be a little bit open-minded about it and just say, I wonder what new thought will occur to me if I stop replaying the thinking I've been replaying my whole life. I wonder what solutions will occur to me if I stop defining the problem in a certain way and believing that it's solid and unchanging, and until someone else or something else changes, I'm stuck. And so just leaving the door open, that little crack, and saying, I'm open for something new to come in. Just like my ideas about skiing, just like my ideas about fires, just like my ideas about, hey, it's actually really beautiful when it's -15. You get kind of ice crystals everywhere, you get stunning blue skies, everything is just really beautiful in a way that you never get in summer. And that's not a thought that I put there. That's a thought that occurred to me because I left the door open a little bit. And so I just encourage you to really, if you're struggling with something on the reality side, if there's a problem or a relationship or a label or an identity or a habit or anything that is looking really sticky and hard on this side, if we consider that consciousness and thought are these ever-shifting variables that can totally take care of this side of the equation if we let it, then we will be so much more open to letting it. And so I hope this is helpful, and we have one more video in this series. If you have any questions, please leave them below, and I will do my best to incorporate them into the next video. And I will see you soon, lovelies. Take care. Bye.